Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast.
It's time for the Halloween special! Woo!
Hello everybody and welcome to a new episode of the Stuff and Things Podcast. It is the Halloween special for 2022. I am Sam. Joining me, my regular partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hello.
Very spooky, dude. Very spooky.
I thought so.
And joining us to discuss Marvel's Werewolf by Night, it's superfan, it's Kaylee.
Hello.
Oh, God,
Wasn't as good as Stefan. That was rubbish.
You're both at it now.
I'm so glad she did it, because if it had just been me, I would have sounded like a right dick.
I can't be scary. I'm too nice.
And that's a lie to start the podcast. Wow. What a whopper. Yeah, so it is the Halloween special. Special thank you to my daughter Phoebe for her help with the intro, followed by the rather epic Marvel Monsters intro. Yeah. Which we're going to open podcast with story time. So basically, anyone who listens to our show on a regular basis will know I am a massive wimp. Horror, not for me at all. Not my genre, not my thing. I do not watch stuff, and just not me. So, Werewolf by Night, you look at the trailer, stuff like that, it looked like something that could be potentially full of jump scares. So I was kind of avoiding it. I was kind of, this is probably not going to be for me. I don't know if I want to watch it. And then Kaylee watched first, I believe, and sort of like, no, it's fine. Absolutely fine. No problem at all. There's nothing in it that's going to, there's maybe one jump scare, but nothing in it that's going to, Sam, you're fine. And I was like, okay, well, all right, maybe I'll give it a go. And then I sat down with my iPad late at night to watch it and my earphones in. And immediately we had that Marvel Monsters scream intro. And I was like, nope, not a chance, not watching this.
You got quite a bit of abuse for this on our Discord server because for being a wimp. It was quite funny.
Yeah, a massively amount. Yeah. People lay into me all the time about it, but I don't care. I'm kind of like on this opinion, like if I'm going to pay or I want to be entertained, I don't want to scare the living out of myself. I have a very vivid imagination and I have nightmares and bad dreams and no, don't want to play. So that's that. But once the next day came around and sun was up and I was watching on a TV rather than having headphones in, it was perfectly fine. I was okay. I got through it. I didn't cry in the corner or anything. And yeah, it was enjoyable.
You wouldn't admit if you were crying in the corner anyway.
No, I would. I'm confident enough and I feel good enough in myself that I can openly admit when I am terrified. I'm safe enough in my masculinity to go, nope, and run away. So just going around the room then, Stefan, we'll start with you. Werewolf by Night. It's strange kind of concept-y styling. What did you think?
Very different. Very, very different to anything we have had so far. Realistically, if I didn't know it was by Marvel, you probably wouldn't straight away go, oh, that's a Marvel project, that is, because of how different it was. However, thoroughly enjoyable. Yeah. I did finish going, what the heck was that? That was crazy. But very enjoyable.
Okay, well, that's often that's a good point. Kaylee, to you then, like Stefan just said, very styled, very different, very kind of kooky. What were your thoughts?
I Oh, well, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so good. And I've watched it multiple times. And everyone I speak to, I tell them to go and watch it immediately.
Yeah.
And half of the people go, that was brilliant. And the other half go, you're a weirdo. What was that?
Yeah, that was
But
so
I
weird.
loved it. It was so good. It was right up my street. And I loved that it was so different.
Yeah.
Like, there aren't enough complimentary words that I can use in this statement to say how much I loved it.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's really good.
Yeah, I myself, I mean, the kind of styling of it and everything was obviously meant to be that kind of classic black and white horror kind of. I don't know what era it was. I'm trying to put like a time frame on it. 30s. I don't know, where it was, the Frankenstein's monster and everything that first started hitting the screens.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun being that way, but at the same time it did make me wonder, because obviously the idea of Werewolf by Night is introducing monsters into the MCU, into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we are entering a phase where we are going to get that. The movie Blade and that character, Moon Knight had already kind of started directing us that way a little bit with mummies.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, okay, we're here. And this is going to be kind of the kicking off point. With it being that, do you feel that the show, Stefan, I'll put this to you first. Do you feel that the way they did it means that monsters in the MCU is always going to be a little bit kind of kooky in that kind of style? Or do you feel that this is just a one-off, and the way it was black and white but then colour at the end suggests that this is the introduction and now we go into normality sort of thing?
So I did a bit of reading up on this before it came out, and apparently there was a lot of creative reasons behind the black and white filter, to get the old-fashioned horror story look and things like that. But one of the reasons they admitted to was to obscure the blood and gore in it, therefore it should avoid getting one of the TVMA ratings. Yeah. So they were trying to keep it as low a rating as possible to get it out on TV. Yeah. However, I think with the end of the film going into... Well, I'm going to call it a film, not a show, but with the end of it... Special presentation, that's the one. With it going into colour at the end, I feel like this was just a really fun introduction of kind of what's to come.
Yeah. Kaylee, same question to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Stefan, and I think the black and white thing was really good, and the styling was excellent. I think it was a really good way to kind of pay tribute, like you say, to the 1930s, even up to the 70s in some parts, with the writing and stuff. Yeah. And it was fun. It was different. I would love to see the non-black and white version, because I actually really, really wanted to have that blood and guts and gore, which is unusual for me because I don't like horror films. I will avoid them if I can. So I was slightly disappointed, but it was perfect for what it was. Yeah. And it was a really fun way for them to have their moment and do this really out there different thing. Yeah. And then, like you, bringing the colour back. Because they couldn't have done this all in black and white. They couldn't have had every monster going forward in black and white, because that would just be silly. Yeah. But it does make me wonder how gory the monsters are going to be. Is it just going to be like, comic book monsters, or are we going to get some more kind of hardcore stuff? I don't know. But I really liked it. I honestly, my favourite thing since WandaVision.
Wow. Okay, that's a big statement. Okay. So let's dive into it a little bit then. So one of the key things in this is everything is black and white except for one item, and that one item is the bloodstone. Yes. The bloodstone is kind of like this central thing to this, where a gentleman known as Ulysses Bloodstone has died. Now, Ulysses Bloodstone, from what I'm seeing in this, and I'm basing it purely on the special presentation. I know a lot of information out there, comics, etc., but this is me purely from what I saw and piecing it together. He was kind of like the top guy when it comes to hunting monsters. And the Bloodstone gave him this power. And we see throughout the special presentation, the Bloodstone does have a lot of power. And literally from repelling monsters, beasts, to also being able to reveal them and various other things, and kill them as well.
Yeah.
We meet his widow, a lady called Averusa.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. Kaylee, I'm going to come to you first. What are your impressions of Verusa throughout the special presentation? She was an interesting lady.
She is the quintessential evil stepmother, married for money, married for status, and she was. I mean, I love the woman who plays her. She's in what was I watching? Oh, Desperate Housewives, and I like her in that as well.
Wow.
But she was brilliant, and I think she was just this everything you'd expect from an evil stepmother.
You say she married for money and status and all that. She also does refer to Ulysses as being a lover without equal in front of her daughter, which was one of those moments which I loved. Stefan, what did you think of the wicked stepmother?
Yeah, I like I like the description from Kay there. Like, you know, the quintessential. She is the evil stepmom. That daddy's gone and that's it. You're in trouble now, kid. Get lost, sort of thing.
Yeah.
We kind of learned there's obviously a lot of history between her and the main character Elsa.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say there's much of a loving relationship there. That's for sure.
There's a line delivered to Elsa by her, which I wrote down because I was just like, it's sort of like the reversal of any, like if you go to a funeral and like people have fallen out or something like that, it's like, hey, you know, don't worry, you know, they still loved you, stuff like that, you know. But there was this line where she delivered that, she says, don't be easy on yourself. You were his greatest disappointment.
Yeah, what a line.
I know. I was just like, oh, damn. Like, don't be easy on yourself. You were his greatest disappointment. Wow. Yeah. She's an interesting woman. But we do meet her. We do meet a deceased Ulysses via him animating himself, which was a very kind of old-fashioned horror weird thing.
Yeah, that was strange. Him like coming to life in the coffin and talking about,
the wife was just beside herself when he came back to life, and it was the best thing ever. And you could just see this like fawning woman. Oh, you're wonderful. You know, you've all witnessed this amazing thing, and everyone's kind of sat there going, "What the?
What the hell is going on? What have I just witnessed?" Now, what is going on here is these various people have arrived that are hunters. They've arrived at Ulysses' house because they are going to compete to get the Bloodstone. Clearly, historically, the Bloodstone would have passed to Elsa, his daughter, but due to the falling out and her being away, I think they say for nearly 2 decades, she has lost her right to automatically have it. But the wicked stepmother is going to allow her to compete for it with all these other hunters.
Fight it out. Yeah.
But the only reason she's allowing her to do that is because she thinks she can't do it and she'll be gone. That'll be the end of her.
Yeah. Now, one of the fun little things, there's an interaction between one of the hunters who we learn is Jack. And this hunter is sort of very quiet, keeping to himself, looking around the room. And there's all of these monsters' heads basically up on the wall. And this big Scottish guy who's a hunter says to him, like, oh, like any of these your handiwork? And he's like, no. Oh, I fought that one a few times. He's never looked more alive. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I was sort of looking around at these heads thinking, I'm going to recognise one of these or something. Now, possibly comic book readers were having a field day over this. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know about you guys. Did you spot any up on the wall that you thought, oh, that could be so-and-so?
There was only one that I noticed.
Okay.
But it was actually in one of the murals in the background of where Elsa and her stepmom are having a conversation.
Yeah.
It is the comic book version of Gore from Love and Thunder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the only one I noticed, though.
Oh, well, that's kind of fun that was in there.
Because obviously this came out just before.
Yeah.
Love and Thunder. So yeah, that was a nice little nod.
Yeah, okay. So, like we said, they've set this up. All these hunters and Elsa are going to go into what looks to be like a labyrinth, which I loved. It felt very kind of ye olde and made me laugh. I mean, I have to mention it because I think it's one of the best things ever in all of Marvel. Flaming Tuba guy.
Yeah.
Do you think that is possibly the most over-the-top, pointless thing ever?
The flaming tuba. Yeah.
Literally, you're gonna walk from here to there, but I'm gonna walk with you with my flaming tuba. I loved it.
Absolute hero.
It was so over the top.
But it's in line with the rest of the show, right? It's just the random
the word extra. You know, it's just like, yeah, okay, that was completely unnecessary. Go for it. Why not?
Yep.
Once we see the various hunters and everyone have entered this labyrinth / maze, they are looking for a creature that has had the bloodstone placed on it. Obviously, kill the creature, take the bloodstone, and you are the new master of the bloodstone. It seems kind of simple. Now, we know that they're all going to be pitted against each other. The Wicked Stepmother basically says, like, there's no special treatment for Elsa. It's all against all. You know, may the best hunter win.
That's it. They want to roll the dice to work out who goes in first. They all get really annoyed at the people going in first.
Yeah. Good old Jack. Jack, again, so far this guy's just really quiet, really unassuming. She's attributed 100-odd kills to him as well, which had left me just like, really, that guy?
Yeah.
he just seems like he's so much more relaxed than everybody else. But he does go in and he's walking around, and we have this moment where he walks into Elsa, and what's kind of amusing is Elsa's sort of like not sure what to do, ready to fight, and he is just, we could just walk past each other, and she's so shocked. She's like, what? He's like, you know, I could walk that way, you walk this way, we don't have to actually fight. And then out of nowhere, the mad Scottish bastard starts swinging his axe at the pair of them. So at this moment then, because I mean I've not worked out what Jack's real goal is at this point.
Yeah.
Kaylee, bringing you in, what are your thoughts on Jack at this moment? Sort of like the way he's bumped into Elsa, doesn't really want to fight, seemingly just keeps to himself, very quiet. Well, what's your thoughts on him so far?
So that was the one bit in the movie film special presentation that actually made me jump when they bumped into each other. That was the only bit of the whole thing where I went, oh. At this point, I was under the impression that he was just trying to get information or trying to get in with somebody. I couldn't quite work out that, obviously had no idea what the end goal was for him. But it was just a really confusing moment for me. I don't know what I thought, in all honesty, but it wasn't, maybe he knew Elsa, maybe he was, you know, secretly in love with her and it was a stalker type situation.
Yeah.
But I didn't get where it was going at that point at all.
No, that's no, me neither. Stefan, what did you think of sort of Jack and this sort of initial interaction?
Yeah, I was trying to work out kind of what his end goal was. It seemed very much like we saw the mad Scottish guy. He was quite happy to swing away and try and kill anyone in his path. Jack's the complete opposite. Very, very quiet, yet he's got over 100 kills. So I'm kind of watching it, I'm like, okay, so is his kind of thing of don't kill humans, only monsters? Or is there kind of more to him than that? What's going to be... A lot of confusion. Like, what is his end goal? Why did he not just get rid of her nice and quickly? Like, okay, neither of them really had much of a weapon, unlike the guy with the axe, but... Yeah. But at the same time, it didn't seem like, watching it, it never looked like he was trying to find a weapon.
No.
Everyone else is looking over and under things and through things trying to find a weapon. And he's just walking around like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so not entirely sure. No, it's one of those things, because, like, the one you always should be nervous about is the quiet, confident one.
Yeah.
You know, it's the sort of like, you know, you see this massive 6'8" monster of a guy screaming and shouting, Okay. I'm more nervous of the guy who's sort of 5'5" and just stood quietly. Someone's shouting at him and he doesn't look worried. That's the one I'm nervous of.
Yeah.
And so when he's walking around so calmly, confidently, I'm just sort of thinking to myself, clearly he's a badass. Clearly at some point he's going to break out something and you're going to be like, oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. All right. But no, that doesn't really materialize. Not in this sense anyway. We do see that Joven, or aka Mad Scottish Git, does attack Elsa. She does escape him, but then runs into, I think the guy's called Leorn. And she does actually kill him. Cuts his arm off, which again was kind of funny. Now, we're talking about the MCU and the kind of difference in this presentation. I'm fairly confident straight away cutting someone's arm off to use their weapon attached to their arm. I think that's a step up. I think that's a step up from where a lot of stuff in the MCU is straight away. I think that's a definite. Yeah, this is going to be a little bit more mature. I know it's black and white and we're not seeing blood go everywhere, but
they still cut a guy's hand off to use his weapon and shoot at someone else. Yeah.
Yeah. I did think to myself, okay, there's a step up there. So she's basically fighting her way through the people, and then we see Jack get grabbed by a creature through a bush, and that for me was like, oh Jack, oh no, Jack's in what? Hang on, Jack is friends with the creature, and the creature is Man-Thing.
The man,
aka
yes.
Ted,
aka one of the heads on the Grandmaster's tower in Ragnarok.
Yeah. No, I did know that. But yeah, so Man-Thing, also known as Ted, is friends with Jack, and we now learn that Jack has gone in there to save him. And it would appear that this is not the first time Jack has had to go and try and save him. There's quite a back and forth between the two, which is funny. Kaylee, when that scene happens, are you kind of just laughing, or what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it was really funny, but again, there was a quick kind of moment when I thought, oh no, that's it, that's the end of Jack. Yeah. But when you see Ted, you just see these eyes, and you can just see from his eyes that he's just a doofus. I think, is that the right word? I don't know. Just, the lights are on, nobody's home. He's so cute, and you just want to cuddle him almost, just from looking at the eyes.
I don't know if I'm quite there for cuddling straight away, but I will say that what they managed to do with the eyes was make that very expressive. So, when he's sort of in monster mode, he does kill a good few hunters, but then there's this moment, I think is when Elsa calls him Ted, and his whole body language changes. Yeah, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, that's kind of cute. All right, you're adorable.
It's like a calm word, isn't it? Like you have with a dog. Calm down, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The sun's getting real low, big guy. Yeah,
the sun's getting real low. Oh god, can you imagine? So we get that, and basically Ted says, like, I've got this explosive device, and Jack says, I've got this explosive device, and Jack doesn't look confident with this explosive device in any way, shape, or form, and he's like, I'm going to get you out of here. They get separated, and Jack ends up with Elsa locked in to like a family bloodstone tomb. Strange kind of it's like the special presentation, you've got everything that's going on, and then you have this moment where everything just seems to pause so these two can kind of talk. It's quite a good scene where you kind of learn the motivations of both of them quite clearly, and Jack manages to get across, like, the bloodstone, don't give a crap, not interested whatsoever. So let's make a deal. You help me get my friend Ted, out, and you have the bloodstone, and great, happy, thumbs up, no problem at all.
We all leave smiling.
Yeah, Elsa's kind of on board. I mean, Elsa's focus is purely on the Bloodstone.
Yeah.
For her own reasons, I think, which is mostly around sticking middle finger up to her stepmother at the moment.
It would appear that does seem to be her main motivation. Yep.
That does appear to be a pretty key motivator for her. And so they do go out. They manage to get out of there by breaking. She was, what was it? She says one of her great aunties was convinced she was going to come back from the dead, so kept keys in her tomb.
Yes.
I mean, that was kind of creepy and horrible, but fun at the same time.
It was just that moment where she kind of has that brainwave of, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was
I think that was a
crazy.
really good scene.
You did. The whole, like, oh, my dad used to tell me these bedtime stories about how if I didn't behave, she'd come and grab me and drag me into her crypt. I was like, oh, that's nice. That's pretty. There's a bit Addams Family going on with the Bloodstones. But Elsa goes off to find Ted. Ted is killing a few, and like we said, we had this great scene where he's literally used his power. Appears to be like he can literally disintegrate someone by touching them.
Yeah.
Which is quite a weapon, by the way. And he disintegrates this guy right in front of her, and she just goes, Ted? And his whole body language changes, like, huh?
Yeah.
Must
kill. Oh, hello.
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to kill you. Oh, well, you know me as Ted. How do you know me?
Friend?
Yeah, we good? Yeah. And she kind of like, your friend wants to meet you by, follow me sort of thing. And she goes running off and Ted chasing after her. Now, Jack seemed to be, for me, at the start of this, like, I'm thinking this is one badass, quietly confident guy. I then watch him try and use this explosive and think, I think Jack's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah, it's the bouncing off the wall and just falling off it and stuff. Oh, it was cracking me up.
I mean, it was so funny. He clearly lives in a world where he doesn't use modern technology or anything. He's off the grid. The world of monsters very much hidden away.
Yeah.
And there he is with this explosive device, and he's like, I'm not quite sure what I do with this.
Yeah.
And then he manages to blow a hole in the wall. Ted escapes, but unfortunately, Verussa and her guards with a couple of the hunters come down. And we have a moment where Jack tries to pick up the Bloodstone and is thrown from it.
Yes.
I'm watching, don't really understand the significance of that until Verussa points out that, we have a monster among us pretending to be one of us. And I'm like, oh, Jack's a monster.
Yes.
And then, of course, the whole show's called Werewolf by Night, and I'm kind of like, I got a fair idea I know what Jack is.
Yeah, the penny dropped at that
It
point.
took me a moment.
Sorry, Kaylee, say that again?
No, I was just going to say, it took me a moment when he picked up the stone and he got thrown back. It was a kind of moment, and like you, it was like, oh, the title of the show.
Yeah. It was just kind of like, I've been following this, and I think his character's called like Jack Russell as well.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, okay, all right, fair enough. You literally told me from the start. I've just not been paying attention. Fair enough. Writers, smart asses. Verussa locks Elsa and Jack into a cage. Jack is going to be turned via the Bloodstone into a werewolf, and obviously stepmother is going to quite enjoy watching a werewolf rip her stepdaughter apart, which is, I think when you get to that stage, you realise your relationship has deteriorated to a level that's not going to be repaired. I think when your step parent is willing to allow a mystical creature to tear you limb from limb, you're not getting on. Christmas is cancelled. It's not going to be a thing. And we have this kind of weird moment where Jack just starts sniffing her all over, and she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I need to remember you." And she said to Dad, "Oh, does that work?"
I'll let you know.
Yeah, it was the way he kind of paused and looked there, and I'm like, oh, please say yes. Even if it's never worked, Jack, just say yes.
It was a lighter moment, though, wasn't it? It kind of broke the whole tone of the thing. But I would like to know, and I don't know if we ever find out, who was the one? Who was the one where it worked before?
Yeah.
I need to know.
Who was the one before? Yeah.
You said it worked once before. Well, with who? I need to know that.
I think maybe at some point you will. God, I love how your mind works. It's like, oh, there's a question there that's not been answered. I need to know.
If anybody knows, please tell me. I need to know.
Who was the one?
You watch, there's going to be someone sat there listening to his podcast going,
I know.
Monsters, Legion of Monsters, episode 12 actually tells you that. Yeah.
Oh, dear, yeah. No,
There'll be
And at
someone.
this point... Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, it's possible. It is possible someone will know. Get in touch, let us know. Or just as equally, if you just have a really funny, silly idea, send us that as well, because I'll enjoy that.
We always enjoy those, yeah.
So, he is changed by the Bloodstone, and he does transform in a very old-fashioned horror style.
Loved that.
Elsa is cowering in the corner, and you see the shadow gradually transforming into a werewolf. It was great. It was like a strobe effect. It was very old school horror. It was fun. It was kind of like that was good. I also love the fact that he grabbed Verussa through the bars, and then used that as like the distraction to then jump up and rip his way out of the cage.
Yep.
That was kind of good. A quick observation I wanted to run past the two of you. Do you think Verussa's guards look like members of the TVA?
Yes. So I had a
thank you.
discussion with somebody on this, and they weren't convinced, but I was. But their argument was they look the same, but they don't act and behave in the same way as what we're used to.
Yeah.
So that was the kind of debate that we had. But I was almost convinced that it was them. So my mind is still open, I guess.
Well, they do. I mean, they do look the same, and they're carrying very similar style weapons, albeit not disintegrate, not melt sticks, but like electric shock rods. It just, I don't know whether it was a conscious thing or whether they just had a lot of those uniforms left over from props. I don't know.
I love that. We need some uniforms for this. Oh,
yeah, it's going to be black and white. Just cover the TVA logo and you're fine.
Yeah,
but it does kind of throw you for a loop, because when you watch the whole thing, obviously the whole way it's presented is very vintage. You've got the cigarette burns and this, all the stuff happening, the spots on the screen, and then you've got Elsa dressed in quite modern clothes. So when is this happening? Is this today? Is it 100 years ago?
No, it is today.
It's just another thing to kind of almost throw you off, to make it make you question what's happening.
I think the idea is that Ulysses Bloodstone operated in that kind of way, his kind of ye olde worldy, and that's why Elsa left, I think. This is just me putting this out there, but it is definitely set now. It is definitely set modern times, and I think once Elsa takes the Bloodstone and everything becomes colour, everything becomes real, almost everything becomes up to date, is because she's now in charge. This past someone who's going to modernise, or someone who's going to live in the real world, not this kind of faux thing that he put together. But like I said, I mean, he does get out, Jack, as the werewolf, and just rips through a lot of people. There's some great blood splatter on the camera scenes, proper horror stuff. One shots, static cams where he's just jumping and you can see like, oh no, like run away, but I'm frozen with fear, and the guy's going to rip my throat out. We see a lot of that.
Do you think so? So when all of that was happening, and even with Verussa at the beginning, for having such a short relationship with these people, like 20 minutes in, that it was so satisfying to see this happen, which I think that's a really good achievement, to make me feel like that so quickly is brilliant.
Seeing Verusa, we see. Sorry, just go get to the point. Elsa rips through a couple of the hunters and does it very well, like very convincingly badass, kills them.
Yeah.
And then Verusa confronts her, because she lets him go. It's like, you failed to kill the monster, and she's got this great big gun, like elephant gun sort of thing. And then Ted drops in and disintegrates her. That moment of her being killed by Ted was so satisfying. And like you just said then, she's been on screen for 20 minutes maybe, but I still felt so good that she was taken out. It was like, oh yes, she had to go.
So bye. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line with stuff like that, because she was able to create this awful, horrible little character so quickly. You're kind of like, could be fun to have this awful, horrible character kick around, but then at the same time, I think it was perfect. You felt that ultimate, yes, she's gone. That was...
and that's what you want from a one-shot thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and it's really hard to do that well, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It is. Ted is just kind of stood there looking at Elsa, who says he went that way, and he just plods off, which
cheers.
I loved.
Yeah.
just kind of like, okay, and just plods off like a big dog, basically. But did you notice he picks up clothes on the way out?
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of love that. These two have clearly been companions for some time. So yeah, I kind of love that. Like, oh, he's transformed into a werewolf, I better pick him up some clothes. So yeah, that was kind of incredibly cute. The manservant, who was clearly the servant of Ulysses and now Verusa, and like, oh, my lady, because clearly Elsa's now in charge. And she's like, yeah, you can just start clearing all this shit up.
I love that.
Like
Self-preservation, job preservation,
just like
real life today.
there's like dead bodies everywhere, and there's this guy just like, oh, okay, great, I'll get on. Yeah, I'll get the mop and bucket, shall I?
Yeah, I can do some of it, but you're gonna need someone to fix the roof. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that kind of funny. I mean, it made me laugh. Like, you can start cleaning this shit up. I was like, wow. She's charming. But then she does sit down with the bloodstone, and everything starts to go to colour, which is what we've mentioned. And when that happens, we get the classic "Somewhere Over the Rainbow" playing.
Now, I don't want to say they've stolen this from the Wizard of Oz, but
I think lovingly borrowed is how they'd like to put it.
yeah.
But yeah, we get that kind of playing, and then we see an old-fashioned record player, very old-fashioned, in the middle of a woods.
Yeah.
And Jack waking up from like a sort of in a hut, and there's Ted making a nice brew, a bit of breakfast on the go, I think. And the two of them just sit there like old friends, sat by the side of a lake, having a chat. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. You? Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
It's like, I saved you, yeah, but I saved you as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they decide to go get sushi.
Yeah.
And that's
Sounds like the end to a great day.
And that's basically the end. Yeah, the special presentation is finished. Jack has saved his friend Ted. Elsa now has the bloodstone, and that was our special presentation. I think it was one of these things where it finished, and I just kind of sat there looking at it, going,
"What?"
I think I really like that, but I don't know. I think I enjoyed that. I'm not sure. It was so odd.
It was very.
See, I knew
different.
straight away as soon as it finished.
Yeah.
I was ready to watch it again, and I have. I've watched it multiple times since, and I'm glad I didn't wait until Halloween today to watch it.
How many times have you seen it?
I think it's 4 now.
Wow. Okay.
Because I watched it that first night, then I watched it the day that you watched it, then I made Ryan watch it, and then I made the kids watch it.
Well, you made the kids watch. What do the kids think, by the way?
Hudson was a bit kind of, yeah, it's fine, because it was black and white. I don't think he kind of saw the attraction. I think Logan actually really appreciated it, because we watch like vintagey stuff all the time, and there was a few things in there, and he went, oh, that's like this, and that's like that. And,
yeah, well, that's good.
Both kids
said, this is like
to school and said, "Mummy is very strange." Yeah.
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 Mummy made me watch a scary thing. Yeah.
We watched Scream the other night.
What?
Yeah, and he kind of sat there. He was like, "Is that it?" I was like, "Oh, all right then."
Are we talking the original Scream or the new one?
The original Scream.
Okay,
the original Scream. We started Scream 2 last night, but
I
it
only
got to
have to
bedtime. So we
ask.
didn't even help a bit.
Yeah, no, I only have to ask because the other night Child's Play was on TV and I went, "Oh my god!" Put it on and it was the new version, which is crap. So I had to go back and watch the old version.
No, you're talking about horror stuff now. No, moving
But
on.
they're slasher films. They're not horror films.
Yeah, but that's still...
Chucky's not scary.
It's a
Poltergeist
frigging
is a horror
toy that
film.
comes to life. When you're a kid with toys on your bed, it's terrifying. God, you're both horrible, mean people.
It's a Halloween special. Don't talk about anything spooky or scary, though.
It's a Halloween special where we will discuss Werewolf by Night, and we have. That was it. That was it done. And I'm happily going to go hide now from all the kids that are going to knock on my door dressed as gremlins later.
Gremlins isn't scary.
No, I know gremlins. It was a joke. God.
You
Anyway.
don't get them very often, so you can see where I struggle.
Sorry, Kaylee. Would you like to open this up? Would you like to go there? Okay, all right, fine.
No, you pick on me enough.
I do not. I'm a delight. That's
okay.
what my mummy said anyway. So I mean that was it. I mean that was Werewolf by Night. I mean I think the key thing is now is what happens next. As a special presentation for Halloween, I think it was a lot of fun. But everyone has said, Kevin Feige, including several other people in interviews, said, yeah, this does open the monsters door. This is, telling us that this world does exist inside the MCU.
This is what I'm interested for because they are members of the original legions of monsters.
Yeah.
Morbius is part of that, but obviously he is currently with Sony.
Yeah.
Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
He's part of it. Marvel have got Ghost Rider because he appeared in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, Marvel do have Ghost Rider, and there is a lot of discussion at the moment about who that could possibly be. And I've seen the most recent link, and I think it could work, and I think it could work quite well, but I'm just not sure if the particular actor would do it, and that's Keanu Reeves.
Okay, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, because I think the way that character is, if anyone's seen the John Wick films, I think you could easily merge that kind of styling with it, and it really worked quite well.
That could work.
That's the rumor that has been the least offensive to me this week. There are lots of casting rumors constantly, but I think the reason why that one has a lot of legs to it is because Keanu Reeves on a talk show some time ago said that he had been in discussions with Marvel over a character, wouldn't reveal who it was, but it was one he was really interested in. And a lot of, at that particular time, it was when there was a lot of talk about the Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
And basically Marvel trying to create, yes, you got the Avengers and you got these big galactic threats and everything, but also we want to come down to the street level. We want to come down to create a series of either shows or special presentations or films which are going to be like team-ups. So the idea appears to be at the moment what they want to do is create series for Disney Plus which will then pay off into special presentations. So for example, we've had this with Werewolf by Night, we've met Elsa, etc. Now we potentially could get a show where some another character, Moon Knight for example, has had his own show. Could we see a crossover? Could that crossover then lead to a team up, which would then be a special presentation on its own? like the Midnight Suns being a special presentation. I think the big one at the moment, and it's the one that's causing the obvious one, the biggest character I think for most people will recognise from this side of Marvel, the kind of beasts and monsters, is the character Blade.
Yes.
Played very successfully by Wesley Snipes in the sort of late 90s, 2000s. The character, I think, is the one best known from this side of the comics.
I'd say so, yeah.
And they've announced and have been talking about a film for a long time. The film was filming, in production, and it all came to an absolute shuddering halt. And the kind of stories that are out there at the moment is that Kevin Feige is, a lot of people will be aware, some won't. Kevin Feige was very hands-on to every single movie in the MCU until Phase 4. In Phase 4, Kevin Feige has trusted people to move on because Disney moved him to try and do some stuff with Star Wars. Kevin Feige has returned, and there are a couple of projects which he's really unhappy with. And one of them is Blade. The lead actor apparently was very unhappy with the script. And Kevin Feige's looked at it and gone, yeah, this isn't it. This isn't the film. So they have scrapped it. It is being rewritten. So all the stuff that's been shot's being scrapped. The director was fired. It is currently, it was classed as in production. Then it got moved to pre-production. And now it's just been completely, it's nothing.
We'll start again and try again, yeah. When you see Kevin Feige on stage, he always looks like such a happy, such a big presence, so happy and so in love with everything Marvel. That you can just imagine him walking into a boardroom, throwing a chair and telling everyone to get out. You all suck! Get out! Do it myself!
Well, yeah, I mean, that's actually one of the stories that's done the rounds from pretty reliable sources. People that nail stuff when it comes to releases and dates and times and stuff, so clearly do have very good insight at Marvel. And the story is that in a script meeting for Secret Wars, he lost his temper to the point he actually threw a chair and broke a desk.
Wow.
I love that. Yeah. I absolutely love the idea of him doing that.
But it's like when you, and I will say this, and I have had situations like this, and I imagine both of you will understand as well. For him, the MCU is his baby, his project.
Yep.
And I think his bosses moved him away from that to help set something else going. And now he's come back to it and he's gone, what
have you done?
you doing? Now, I can say to this, and Kaylee, I'm sure you can, Stefan, I'm sure you can, there's times in your working life where you've done something and you've set it up and you've gone, right, okay, person, you run with this now because I've set that up. It's idiot-proof. You know the formula. It works. Go.
Yeah.
You've taken your eye from it and then you've come back and you're like, what the... How have you cocked that up?
Yep.
And it would appear that is, from the outside looking in, that would appear to be where he's at right now. And that's not to say that everything in Phase 4 he's unhappy with, because that's not the case at all. He's talked a lot about stuff in Phase 4 he's really proud of, including She-Hulk, by the way, for anyone who wants to know. But I think what it is he likes to see an interconnectivity. He likes to see the MCU... When you watch a project or you see whether it's the show on Disney Plus or anything, you have that interconnectivity. What's happened in Kevin's absence is they've given directors free rein. So Taika, for example, on his film, James Gunn for Guardians 3, they basically said to them, you guys know what you're doing, crack on. Which means that there is a lot of disjointedness now. And a lot of people have felt that kind of doesn't have that same feel to it. Things are being filmed in different styles. Things are being filmed in sort of different ways. Like a director has his own take on how I want to film this. Yeah, it doesn't look like a Marvel film.
Phase 1 to 3 was so organically linked.
Yeah.
Every character bumped into another one or something happened that related that one to that one. And it was
Coulson.
All so organic. Well, mainly Coulson, yeah. But it was so organic, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then we've said, like, we're blaming it a lot on the multiverse and things like that, but a lot of things happen in Phase 4 that we kind of sat there going, but where is that going to link to anything? What is that going to... What?
And I think it could be just one of those situations where it's a massive tapestry, and until you get far enough back from it, you're not going to see it. You know, it's one of those things where whilst you're watching every project, you're not quite seeing it, and then when you step back, and I think also there's a certain demand on them now, which is from Disney Plus, which is give us content.
Yeah.
And I think their solution to that is, okay, well, let's introduce monsters. Let's introduce this. Let's do this. You know, the animated Zombies series that's coming is TVMA.
Yep.
You know, that is not standard 12A Marvel stuff. That is definitely going for a mature audience, even though it's animated. So I think from the monsters point of view and what they can do on Disney Plus, I think you will see a kind of step up in that regard of a mature side of it. We know they've announced Deadpool 3. Well, okay, here's a funny thing, and it will possibly come to the end of our show on this one. Marvel haven't announced Deadpool 3.
I was going to say, I've seen nothing from Marvel, only from those two themselves.
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
Here's a conspiracy theory. Ryan Reynolds has decided he's doing a film with Hugh Jackman and has announced it to force the hand of the studio.
Well, it's very clever and totally something that he would do.
Totally something he would do.
He got Deadpool 1 or Deadpool 2 by doing exactly that. He released footage.
So he did this test footage. Yeah, so he did this test footage that Fox shelved and said, no, it won't work. And somehow that footage got leaked onto the internet.
Definitely not by Ryan, no.
Definitely not by Ryan. Like, what does this button do? Oops. And he has said in many an interview, just like, wow, don't know how that happened. And it caused this massive clamber for it, and Fox basically then had to make the movie.
Yeah.
And they did. Massive success. They then greenlit a sequel, massive success again.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, Disney bought it, and you kind of look at it and you go, Deadpool Disney does not mix.
No.
That doesn't. The two shall not meet. However, Marvel are very keen to do stuff now, which is both continuing the MCU in the same vein, but here's something a little bit more adult as well. And so Deadpool does fit into that, but where it fits in the overall time frame and release schedule, it's kind of amusing that it's not there. It's been announced by Ryan Reynolds
with a date
and Hugh Jackman in probably one of the biggest viral things of the year.
Yeah.
And no, still nothing from Marvel at all confirming it.
It's a very clever marketing strategy, though, isn't it? Because if it goes
massively.
Up, then they can kind of wash their hands of it and walk away, and Ryan Reynolds can just go, joking, got you.
Right now, it's perfect, because I don't think they've... I personally believe that with Kevin coming back, he's looking at all of this scheduling and going, well, that's shit. You're not putting that out in our name. No, that can go. That can go. So right now, when they're... Because you notice a lot of stuff had their dates pushed back as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I think like 5 projects now have all been pushed back. And so it's a case of, I think he has gone through this stuff and gone, okay, I've read this script. How does this link to this? And the director's gone, was I supposed to link it to that? You know?
Yeah.
And so I just get the impression is, okay, everyone, back to school. And that's probably why that release schedule isn't out there now.
The directors of Black Panther are sitting there going, oh, thank God we only had 3 weeks and it came out. He can't do anything with this one.
He can't do anything to us. I tell you what. Interestingly, the director for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever is being tapped now as the new director for Secret Wars.
Oh,
like, a lot of people are saying that after Wakanda Forever, apparently Kevin Feige's in talks with him about doing, because the Russo brothers did Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and after that film, Kevin Feige went, right, okay, you guys, you're the guys who are going to do, Avengers.
Yeah.
And they are, for me, I think they did a great job.
Yep.
So it's going to be interesting to see if perhaps, the director, I think it's Ryan Coogler. I could be completely wrong. He's being linked with possibly being the man to bring the Secret Wars. So
that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's interesting, because that's what you want. You want people who have got that passion and that spark.
Yeah.
And for Kevin to go and pull Blade, it must have been horrendous, because it's got such a huge following already. You cannot ball something like that up.
Well, apparently it had a 90-minute runtime, which again, okay,
it's very short.
But in the 90 minutes, there was one action sequence.
But that's boring.
Well, yeah, if you think about that character, it's what were
it
they
should
doing?
Be wall to wall, back to back. He's not just going to be, strutting down the street. Oh, hi.
No, he's not. He's not sitting around chatting. Really, that guy. No. He's literally a hunter.
That sounds like a hell of a long origin story to get him to current day in a fight scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Do
we need all of the origin story for Blade?
Well, this is it. This is the debate, because I personally enjoyed the fact that when the MCU brought Spider-Man in, I didn't have to watch Uncle Ben die again.
Yeah.
It was like every time they relaunched Spider-Man, I was like, oh no.
No, the bastards killed Aunt May instead, didn't they? Unbelievable.
Yeah, they did. But it took them 3 films to get there.
Still hurts.
But my point is, and spoiler alert for anyone who's not seen that yet. But my thing was, you don't need that. Like, everyone knows. I say everyone. Most people know who Blade is. Yeah. So I think you can bring him in a kind of here he is, and this is what he's doing. Everyone's up to date. You don't need a
bit of a flashbang type thing.
Yeah, you don't need a 90-minute origin movie, if that makes sense. But just such a strange, so much strange stuff about that film. I just can't understand how it got as far as it did without anyone looking at that script going, this is crap.
Like, they've got
especially when the lead actor is screaming, apparently, like, this is rubbish.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was our Halloween special. We've had a good chat about Werewolf by Night, and various other projects. Marvel will continue to roll forward. The next Marvel project that is hitting the screens is Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever. I believe both of you already have your tickets lined up.
I do.
Am I right?
Yep. First showing on the 11th in the morning.
So there you go. So we will bring you a show discussing that movie basically as soon as all 3 of us have seen it. And then we will have that here for everyone. Have you seen the film? It looks like it's going to be
epic.
A great piece of cinema. It really looks impressive. My hope is with it that the trailers aren't telling me the whole story. I'm
convinced that they're doing a fake out in the trailer. Convinced.
I'm hoping so, because otherwise I feel like I've seen the film.
Yeah.
Like, the first trailer was beautiful. It showed me nothing but showed me everything. I think there's now been 5, and I feel like, okay, so that happens, yeah. And sure is the new Black Panther. Okay, so if there's no, if that is literally it, the film, I am going to be a little bit gutted.
Yeah.
But hopefully there's going to be a lot more to it, twisty, turny things. But anyway, like I said, this was the Halloween special. Stefan, say goodbye to the lovely listeners.
Goodbye. That was rubbish. No, see you later.
That was weird. And Kaylee, say goodbye to everybody.
I'm just going to say goodbye. Bye.
Smart move. Until next time, everyone, you all take care.
Tonight, it is every hunter for themselves.
Good luck. I'll be rotting for you.
For listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.